Hi, guys. Welcome back. A lot of the people that walk with me every day swear by it. Walking, that is. Walking can help you with problems that you're dealing with. It can help you with weight loss issues that you're struggling with. It can also help you with finding solutions to other problems that you might be experiencing. Today's YouTuber's channel is called Overcoming Within, and the name of his video is How Walking Changed My Life. I think you're going to love this.
Good morning. It is currently 7 a.m. right now, and I'm doing a walk that right here, which about a year ago changed my life in a good way. And it became such a regular thing in my life, especially so early in the morning. But it didn't always start off that way. And I'm going to explain how it changed my life. Oh, and before I forget, I also lost 10 kilos just doing this walk, like almost every morning. The only problem with walking this exact path that I'm on at the minute, it's like away from everyone. Like the main track is over there, but I always walk through spiders' webs because no one walks through here. So last year I was having a not so fun day, and I told my dad this. I told him how I was having a bad day, and he goes, "Why don't you go for a walk and clear your mind?" I said, "Dad, what's that gonna do? What's walking gonna do? How's that gonna help?" But I took his advice, and I went for a walk. And when I got back, and I was only going for like 10 minutes, and when I got back I was like, holy shit, I feel great. So I thought, if I could feel so good after one 10-minute walk, how would I feel if I just continued walking? And I started walking almost every day, and man, it changed my life. I lost 10 kilos. I was so much clearer in the head. Problems that I learned how to solve problems just from walking. And I started walking like an hour and a half away, just for like whatever reason. I just enjoyed it.
Guys, I'm telling you, a lot of us venters get together every morning and we wish each other a good walk. If you're new to my channel, it is not about just sharing people's diet experience or exercise failures or side effects. It's about me trying to get you to join us on a walk. If you're feeling depressed, it can help cheer you up. If you're feeling stressed because of a work situation, it can help you come up with novel ideas to get over these situations. I know in my heart you would love it. I'm hoping today is the magical day that you join us.
So what I started doing then is I started becoming fit. It was a compound effect, and I didn't even plan it. And that's the thing with walking. You don't really have to try super hard. You can just walk. You can go at your own pace. Yeah, you'll burn more calories if you walk faster, but it doesn't really matter. As long as you're actually getting out there and doing it, it's going to work for you. And of course, if you're in a calorie deficit. But even if you don't want to walk for exercise, it still has a great impact on your creativity. Studies have shown that it boosts your creativity up to 60%. That's fucking nuts, dude. So I feel like the best time anyone should start walking is in the mornings. But this is obviously going to be subjective. But the reason why I like it so much is, one, I can do it any time of the year. As long as it's not raining, any time of the year, I burn so much. But there's no real UV rays this early in the morning. That's why I love it. Number two, there's no one that really needs to contact me at 7 a.m. Most people are still asleep, and I can really just focus on the walk. I have my time. It's funny, night people and morning people are very similar. Night people love night because no one contacts them at that time. No one needs to contact them at like 3 a.m. Same as when I get up at 5 a.m. No one has the need to contact me that early in the morning. And that's the thing with walking. You never know what you can run into. You never know what's around you until you stop and you look. Like when you slow down and you can look at what's around you, it's beautiful.
I want you guys to experience the beauty because he is exactly right. And I firmly believe that when you're out walking in your neighborhood, you make the neighborhood safer for little ones, you make the neighborhood safer for the elderly, and you make your neighborhood better, period. He likes walking at 7 in the morning. The only reason you don't even think about working out at that time is because you got to get ready for work. But what better way to get ready for work than to take a half-hour walk around your block, finishing at your car, and going to work? It's a great way to get your exercise out of the way, and in 3 months, you'll have lost 10, 15 pounds. And here's the best way to start it. Right now, go get your shoes. Let's go for a walk. Venters, quick update on a story I shared with you yesterday. Apparently, the wide receiver, the rookie, Pearsall, who was drafted by the 49ers, I guess his mom, because he has local ties here to Arizona, he went to Arizona State before he went to the University of Florida, where he was drafted by the 49ers. But apparently, his mom said that a bullet went into his chest, exited out his back of his body, right? So in and out of his body without hitting any vital organs. So Ricky Pearsall, God bless you. Thank goodness you're alive. They showed pictures of him as the medics were working on him before he went to the hospital. And tough dude, just sitting there with like a bloody chest. And I had no idea that the bullet had actually exited out of his back, without hitting any organs. That is literally amazing. I at first thought maybe it was a 22 and maybe the bullet just barely went into him and got, kind of lodged into his chest or something. But apparently it exited out the backside, thankfully not hitting anything vital. So right there, a little mini miracle for you, Ricky. Wonderful. On another note, did you guys hear about this Chase Bank glitch? And it's not a glitch at all. Apparently, when you leave a check through the ATM and you deposit it and get cash out of it, apparently it was some sort of temporary glitch where Chase Bank would actually release all the funds. Normally you have $1,000 check, they might release $100 of it right away and then put a three-day hold on the remainder. But apparently the situation was such where people could deposit as much as a $5,000 or $10,000 or $15,000 check and it would release all the funds. So these people would have access to a lot of money, and then ultimately they would find out that their bank account was in the arrears and in negative numbers because Chase Bank ain't gonna let you just take money. Apparently, because I watched a couple videos on this morning, apparently people can go to certain websites and actually have fake checks made out to them from these fake businesses or fake websites, right? So imagine you get a hold of a $10,000 check payable to you, you put it into your Chase Bank ATM. Because of this situation where they weren't holding back any of your funds, this glitch, so to speak, all $10,000 of that check was actually made available in cash to you. And apparently a lot of these teenagers and these young adults were actually using this to cash out hundreds and in some cases thousands of dollars. The main problem with that is now they're finding out that instead of having all this money, they have negative bank accounts. And because this isn't a glitch where they get to keep the money, it actually might fall under bank fraud. So imagine, because of TikTok videos urging people to try this glitch with the bank, now you've probably got a couple of hundred of kids, because I know that smart adults didn't do this, but young adults that are still kids basically do, right? So you have hundreds of kids that just willingly committed fraud. Now, how much you want to bet the government's going to take advantage of this and bring up things to take down TikTok again? They're going to start saying, hey, look, this is what TikTok causes. It causes mass fraud, which, anything can cause fraud. I don't know if you can blame it on TikTok. I think what we can blame it on the fact is that people, especially young people, they seem so easily influenced by free money. Back in my day, even when I was in my 20s, we talk a lot about street smarts. Is it street smart if you're actually throwing your life into a felony and now you're making it where other banks are probably not going to want anything to do with you? And if you don't pay that money back, is there a chance that you'll never have to pay that money back? If it counts just as a negative credit hit on you, then sure. But if it counts as a fraudulent hit on you and all of a sudden you have a felony, guys, you're going to be paying for that for the rest of your life. I have a couple friends that have prison records. And I remember that I would constantly ask them, hey, are you interested in this particular job? And they would constantly tell me, well, Jesse, that really depends on the job. Because if they do a criminal background check, they're not going to hire me. Now imagine these people that have these background issues. It's funny, if you ask them almost to a T, they all have these wonderful job opportunities that they can never take advantage of because of said criminal record. And so all of a sudden you've got TikTok urging these young adults, hey, go to this website, get a fake check made out to you in whatever amount, put it into your bank account, and then what you're going to find is that because of this situation, this quote-unquote glitch, which I don't even think it's much of a glitch, the bank is going to release all your funds. Take out that money, have a good time. So these kids do this, and it's like, golly, if someone tells you to jump off a bridge, you're going to do it. You know, it's so funny. Our parents taught us this when we were young. Maybe that's the difference between our parents and the parents nowadays. Our parents would tell us stuff like, hey, if your friends jump off a bridge, are you going to do it too? Maybe that saying has gone out of style and these young people just have no idea what they're doing. So here's my question to you, Venters. Have you heard about this Bank of America Chase Bank situation? And if so, do you think you would have been dumb enough when you were younger to actually fall for it? Or did your parents and family instill enough good sense in you to know that there's no such thing as free money? And if something does look too good to be true, well, hell, it's probably too good to be true. I feel like young people are just so easily fooled. And they think they're getting one over on the bank. Guys, Chase Bank is the type of bank that when they are $12 billion under, they get help from the government. They get bailouts. You think the government is going to let you just take money from a bank that's too big to fail? Heck no. And so now for the rest of your life, you're going to have this ding on your background, and you might have a hard time getting a job. So if you're one of these people that was smart enough not to go for this, you need to be smart enough to make a commitment to yourself never to go for these things. There is no such thing as free money. And how many people went into this thinking, hey, no big deal, it's just money. No, it is a big deal. This could literally cost you future employment opportunities. And on top of that, this thing could make it where it's hard for you to get bank accounts in the future. That's not a cool glitch in your favor. That's a fool's trap that's just waiting for fools to drop into. And you just so happen to be the fool today. So again, I don't know what it is with young people. You know, they act like some people that are smart have no street smarts. Guys, I'm sorry if you fall for this. You have no street smarts. I'm taking away your street smart card. If anybody out here that's listening to this video has done this, God, I wouldn't even admit it if I were you. But that's the silliest part of all. So these people do this thing, and then they go on TikTok and brag about it. And it's like, literally, you know what you're doing? You're writing a confession to the world, and you're leaving it up as a public record for people to see. I mean, my goodness. Stupid is as stupid does. Why don't parents and aunts and uncles take these young people out to dinner or to lunch and sit them down and let them know you are going to have countless numbers of chances to do stupid things in your life? Are you going to be like the countless number of fools that do it? Or are you going to be smart enough and strong enough to try to do things the right way? I am so sick of people bragging about how certain people that do things the right way have no street smarts. Hey, you're book smarts, but you have no street smart. If you're willing to go through fraudulent ways to make money, and you think you're never going to get caught when everybody else that's much smarter than you already has been caught by these things, then you're not very street smart if you ask me. That's what's so funny. I think sometimes people look at their neighbor, right? And they think, oh, that's a book smart person. No, that's a street smart person. He knows how to get his way in life. He knows how to get ahead in life. He knows how to be successful. And one of the smartest things that you can do is you can decide early on in life, I'm going to do things the right way. That's what I call street smarts. You know what I mean? Street smarts is not, how to know when somebody's going to rip you off. Street smarts is how to know when to keep your nose clean and not be making stupid mistakes that are going to follow you around for the rest of your life because you wanted to pull out a couple grand from a bank that you didn't have money in. Ridiculous. I was telling you over the last couple of days about these Venezuelan gangs that are taking over apartment complexes in Aurora, Colorado. But that's not the only place where they're giving people grief. Apparently, they're doing these same type of maneuvers in Chicago and other places around the country. Well, when it comes to Aurora, Colorado, apparently the Hells Angels have gotten a word of what happened, and apparently they've got so many chapters and they're a very powerful gang that apparently they are coming together, and many of them are actually riding out to Aurora, and they have made a little bit of a vow to go ahead and hit these gangs straight on. I even saw a video where one of them kind of said, hey, we're going to come and it ain't going to be no fun. You better get out of there. But here's the thing. I don't know if they know what they're doing. And let me explain. I know Hells Angels is a powerful group. I know they've been around forever. But every time I hear about Hells Angels, it's actually in a positive light. Let me explain. I hear about them buying bicycles, toy bikes for kids. And I hear about them doing a lot of nice things in a philanthropic way. So I don't necessarily see them as some horrible organization of doom. But at the same time, I still respect that they are a legitimate gang and somebody that you don't want to mess around with. But here's the thing. I don't think these Venezuelan gangs are just Joe Schmoes that happen to be from Venezuela and happen to be on the wrong side of the law and happen to carry some guns and some bats and some torture items. I think they're legitimately funded, and I think they have unlimited money to back them up. And I don't think that it's as easy as scaring off a smaller gang. This gang, for all I know, could have the Hells Angels outnumbered. I don't really know. That's the thing. It's not like our government's going to tell us the real stuff when it comes to these gangs. And I'm sure you guys have heard about these different gangs before. They are absolutely ruthless. I've never heard of Hells Angels, stringing up people up upon bridges and overpasses so people can see them. I've never heard of Hells Angels going into a town and taking over apartment complexes and stuff. Could they do it? Of course. And Hells Angels could probably do it in a way where it never made the news, right? Because they would know the right way to do it. Well, there's something scary about people that go into your country and start taking over, and they do it the wrong way and they still don't care. I mean, there's something really powerful and ruthless about these gangsters from South America. So I don't think it's one of those things where, oh my God, Hells Angels is after us and we're out of here, we're going back to Venezuela. I don't think it is one of those things. But here's the thing, for some of the venters that might be a little bit older than me, your Hells Angels history lessons might have informed you a little bit better than me. Am I in the wrong here? Because this is one of those things where I probably want to be in the wrong. If we have a gang that can actually evict these Venezuelans and get them out of here, that's one thing. But if all they do is evict them from this apartment complex and they move from Aurora to Phoenix, it's not like that helps me. You know what I mean? So if you guys know the real deal and you have an opinion and you want to weigh in, please do. You hear about these different gangs, and mostly I hear about it through different shows, right? There's a show that'll talk about the White Aryan Brotherhood. There's a show that talks about skinheads. There's a show that talks about the Crips and the Bloods and the Hells Angels, right? But you don't necessarily learn a lot in a 1-hour National Geographic show. In the case of the Venters, many of us go back to the 60s and 70s, and many of us might actually have inside knowledge on some of these gangs, especially these biker gangs like Hells Angels. From what I understand, in every state and many cities, they have their own chapters. So for all I know, they could have hundreds of thousands of members, and if they do, you know, that is pretty impressive, and maybe I'm downplaying how powerful they are. It's hard to gauge how powerful certain entities are, like the mafia, because we're told the mafia doesn't exist. Well, if they do, they're pretty darn good at keeping, you know, under the radar. So I don't know how powerful they are nowadays. Same with Hell's Angels. Every time I see them on TV, they're buying gifts for kids at Christmas time. For all I know, they're a good entity now. I don't know. You know, in the 70s, were they known for, you know, killing other biker gangs or whatever? I'm not even for sure on that. I very rarely hear about the mafia or Hell's Angels or, you know, KKK. I very rarely hear about that stuff in the news. And even when it comes to the traditional gangs like the Bloods and the Crips, guys, I heard more about Bloods and Crips back in the 80s and 90s than I have over the last 20 years. You just don't really hear too much about gang activity other than, you know, so-and-so was a member of a gang and they happened to do this, you know, felony or this assault or this murder. So again, if you guys know anything about this, let me know. How does this transcend, Jesse? How does this equate to our walking? Well, walking can be killer. And walking can kind of sound fraudulent sometimes, right? Hey, if you walk for 30 days, you're going to lose 13 pounds. Sometimes YouTubers do these 30-day challenges where all they drink is water, or all they do is walk every single day 10,000 steps for 30 days, right? Or hey, maybe they gave up sugar and caffeine for a whole month. And every one of these videos, because they want so many people to watch the video, every one of them says, hey, I quit sugar for 30 days and I lost 10 pounds. Hey, I walked 10,000 steps and I lost 13 pounds in a month. When they tell you these things, it's not that it's fraudulent, because I'm sure there's people out there that have lost that amount of weight in that short of time. But I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, especially if you're overweight and you struggle with weight issues and you have your whole life, you're going to drink water for a month and you're not going to notice a change. You're going to quit sugar for a month and you might be lucky if you've lost 3 or 4 pounds, not 13 or 14 pounds. And you're going to try walking for a month and you might gain a pound. You know, so who do you believe? I would believe a person like myself that's going to try to be honest with you. And I would take a look at these 30-day challenges and these special 3 or 4 day fad diets. And I would just assume that all the weight they're losing is water weight, that they're going to gain right back when the camera turns off. And I would assume that they kind of fudge the numbers. See, the thing you have to ask yourself is, if walking is going to enable me to lose 12 or 13 pounds in a month, then why aren't we seeing more people walk? It's because it's kind of bullshit. Walking's one of those things that only works if you become a walker. Well, how do I do that, Jesse? Well, Bob, the only way you can become a walker is if you actually put your shoes on and make a decision. I'm going to walk every single day for the rest of my life. And remember, guys, when you make a commitment to walking every day, it's okay if you have to take a day off. You know, for example, today is Tuesday for you guys, but it's Monday for me. It's Labor Day. Today's your day off. Isn't today a perfect day to go ahead and say, hey, I'm going to make today that first day where I quit Coca-Cola forever. Today is going to be that first day where I decide, you know what? I'm going to ditch my daily donut with my coffee today. You can make these moves, you can make these decisions, and today could be the first day that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do some extra credit. I'm going to walk further than just a half hour. Here's my question to you. Nobody goes on a walk and thinks this is the hardest thing in the world. Most people think, hey, this ain't that bad. So if you actually like and enjoy your walk, why don't you pull a Sean or a Lily, and why don't you go ahead and make today the day that you walk 10,000 steps, you know? Why don't you go ahead and pull a Sherry Ann and take the weighted vest out of the closet, put that bad boy on, and if you're only going to walk half an hour, do it with your weighted vest on. Give yourself a little bit of an extra challenge. Who knows, maybe that weighted vest will make it where you burn off an extra dozen calories per walk. Every calorie you burn helps. You know, maybe make today the day that you decide, you know what, I'm gonna follow Jesse's path and I'm gonna go ahead and eat some plain oatmeal. You know, a lot of us make the decision to ruin our diet first thing in the morning by eating bacon and eggs every day, by eating a large bowl of, you know, basically dessert cereals. You know, that's what cereals are. They're just desserts. Good morning.
Morning.
There's a gentleman there riding his bike. I could tell by the look in his face he was riding his bike just for a little exercise. I don't think he's trying to get from point A to point B. By the way, if you absolutely love walking but you want to, you know, switch it up every now and again, I think swimming is a great idea. I don't think there's anything wrong with pulling out your bike. But remember, when you bicycle, you're probably only losing calories when you're actually moving your legs. If you're coasting all the time, then what are you doing other than just sitting on your bike while it's moving? Make sure you move your legs. Sometimes we're on a 10 speed where we can adjust the gears up and down, right? Ride in a gear that, you know, puts a little pressure on your legs, where it makes it a little bit more challenging, you know, to move forward. You don't have to have a leisurely bike ride. You can actually put a little effort behind it and pedal your way into a weight loss situation. Remember, ultimately, you're going to have a lot of dieters that tell you that losing weight is about calories in and calories out. So that means in the morning, you're going to eventually have to do something. Remember what I said, it's key to think out of the box every now and then. If you've been eating cereal this whole time and nothing's happening with your weight, why don't you make today that day where you have a packet of plain oatmeal? It's only 100 calories. When you have cereal and you look at the calories on the side of the box and it tells you 160 calories, look at what the serving size is. It's 1 cup. Put that 1 cup of cereal into your bowl and you know what you'll quickly notice? That's not enough food. So before you know it, you're actually eating 2, maybe even 3 cups of cereal. And by the way, the milk, the portion of milk, they tell you it's a 2/3 cup of skim milk. Number one, I don't know anybody in the world that drinks skim milk anymore. Most people drink 2% or full milk, right? So number one, those calories that they show you on the side of the box, they're not legitimate. You can multiply each of them by 2 or 3. So in other words, if you're having a giant bowl of Lucky Charms in the morning, you're probably eating 700-800 calories because you're probably having an oversized bowl. And I can't tell you how many young people are playing video games while they eat a bowl of cereal. And then the first thing they do when they finish their bowl of cereal is they go give themselves a refill. Heck, when I was in my 20s, it was not uncommon for me to finish off a box of cereal in a day, 2 or 3. You know, it never took me a week and a half to finish off a box of cereal. That was my breakfast, lunch, dinner, and dessert. And tell me you were the same. We used to eat horribly when we were in our 20s, didn't we? I remember when I got my first ever apartment. I remember there was a money crunch situation. And I remember, guys, and you guys have some stories like this too, and if it didn't affect you, I'm sure it affected some of your friends. But we would have situations where, or at least I did, where I would go and I would buy about $10 worth of ramen noodles. Battery change. So anyway, like I was saying, in addition to eating cereal for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, sometimes out of necessity, not just out of the fact that it tasted good, but in addition to that, I would go to the store and I would buy $10 worth of ramen. And if you guys remember back then in the 90s, ramen was like 10 packets for $1. So we're talking with $10, I could buy like literally 100 things of ramen. Am I exaggerating? Yes, I probably just bought a thing of ramen noodles, you know, probably $4 or $5 worth. But the point is, I would also buy a couple of cans of mixed vegetables. Because even back when I was younger, I always liked vegetables. There's something about the crunch of good veggies when they're in your mouth, right? And anyway, what I would do is I would make this concoction where it was kind of like pasta with vegetables, but in reality, it was just a flavorful ramen noodle packet with some, loose vegetables from cans, right? And every day I would eat that. What I didn't realize is that, yeah, I was eating horribly and probably putting a lot of bad stuff into my body. We all did this at times, right? When we were bachelors and bachelorettes in our own apartments. But what I didn't realize is that that was what made it where I didn't have to think about things like bank fraud. I didn't have to think about ripping off friends, family, or strangers. I knew that I could always get by food-wise by A, visiting my mom and grandma, and who lived down the street, and stealing and raiding out of their pantry. But more importantly, I knew that there were cheap alternatives. And even to this day, if you want to really make a dollar stretch, we all know that we could go down and buy ramen noodles and canned vegetables. I don't know if the young kids still do this, but if you want to lose money and you're a young 20-something, you want to save money, go to the store and, decide, hey, for the next week or two, I'm going to eat nothing but ramen noodles, and I'm going to try to rough it until my paycheck comes. But again, you can't live on ramen noodles, guys. There's some videos I've seen online where it shows people that ate nothing but ramen noodles for years on end, and a lot of them ended up having health problems, or at least according to the videos, By the way, when something says, I only ate ramen noodles for 30 years, they're usually exaggerating. Think about it. Everybody is out and about. You buy fast food. Ramen noodles aren't necessarily an option. So keep in mind, whenever you're watching a video, it was put up so that people would click on it and, take the information you get with a grain of salt. But we do know, at least when I was growing up, that a lot of us ate foods that were cheap. But that was just the way we rolled back then. That was how we got ahead. We didn't always think about ripping off banks and stuff. And my goodness, I still can't believe young people are so stupid nowadays. God, is there a degradation of the body, mind, and soul that we've gone through here in this country over the past couple decades? I think so. These kids grow up and they know how to code and they know how to do everything with a computer. But apparently they don't know how to read, they don't know how to write, they don't know how to communicate, they don't know how to deal with themselves and the feelings that they're having. They don't know how to cope. My God, I don't know about you guys, I don't necessarily think I would want to work in an office situation where I was the one person in their, late 40s working with a bunch of young people in their 20s. Are there people in their 20s that are very down to earth and very reasonable and very smart? Of course there are. There's very pleasant young people. But it seems like they're overrun with a lot of young idiots. And if you are in your kids' lives, talk with them as they're young adults. Try to get them to do the right things and make the right choices. Because look at what their friends on TikTok urge them to do. Urge them to break the law, commit fraud, and do things that are going to be stuck with them for the rest of their life. Ooh, I feel sorry for these young kids. They must feel completely hopeless because they have to worry about everybody giving them bad decisions or bad advice on top of everything they do that's stupid. But anyway, we can be smart. You know how? By doing some extra credit. Keep walking. We've only got a handful of days left in this challenge that apparently I'm the only one doing. But anyway, have a wonderful day, Venters. I'll see you tomorrow.